Welcome back to my channel, Simple, Savory, and Sabroso. Today I am going to show you how I make sofrito my way, which is a little different and you'll see why later. I will be using 1 green pepper, 2 red peppers, 1 cubanelle pepper. Cubanelle, I don't know why, maybe it comes from Cuba. Then I will be using 3 jalapenos from Mexico. I will be using 3 slivers of ginger, quarter size approximately. And I will be using 1 cup or 1.5 cups of garlic, which is equivalent to 1 sleeve like this. And I will be using 1 bunch of cilantro and 1.5 cups of pumpkin. Whoopsie, I almost forgot. 3 medium-sized onions. Now I am going to show you how I chop up my onions. I have to make them in small pieces. I'm going to be doing them in the food processor. So I already peeled and cut this onion in half. And I'll just go 2 cuts that way, 1 this way, and that should be enough. It should be able to process. 1, 2, 1. The peppers now have all been washed and scrubbed. I like to scrub them because you know how many people go to the supermarket and touch all the peppers before they pick one? I know I'm guilty of that. I do that. So I be sure that they're super clean. Okay, I take off the seeds. Then I cut them in slices. I don't like this part. That's the pith and it's sort of not good tasting. Then I cut them in chunks like that. Here goes that. And the other half. Take this off. Cut them in chunks. Okay, there goes another one. That's how I cut my pepper. Now I'll show you how I cut up my jalapeno. I cut it in half. And I take the seeds out. If you like your food to be hot, you'll leave that in there. That's where all the heat lives. But I'm going to take off the seeds on this one. I have 3 of them. I'll take the seeds off on 2 and leave the seeds on 1 just to give you that little hint of heat. I use a spoon and I take all those seeds out. Be sure not to touch your face after you do this. Most people use gloves. I don't. They don't bother me, but I have to remember not to touch my eyes. Okay. And that's how I cut my jalapenos. I have a lot more cutting and chopping to do. I'm not going to bore you with that. So I'm going to finish chopping all these vegetables and I'll be right back. Okay, now I finished chopping all my greens and here they go. I like to mix them all up in there and this is how I do it. I just put bunches in there at a time. Well, I'm using a food processor to do my sofrito because some people use a blender and a blender makes the sofrito too mushy and liquidy. I like to have some substance in my sofrito. This is why I'll be using the food processor. Okay, let's begin. This is a small sofrito because I have a small family, but if you have a large family and you cook a lot, you can just double up on all the ingredients that I gave you. Okay, this is a big food processor. I can probably put more than half in here. Okay. And if the food processor has a little bit of trouble starting, never put water in there. You can use a little bit of olive oil or any oil you like. Okay, that should be enough. Let's see how this goes. Okay. Sorry for all the noise. Let's see what it's looking like. Okay, it's still a little bit too coarse. So let's keep going. Okay, that should be enough. Okay, now we have our first batch, and this is the consistency I'm talking to you about. You see all the little red pepper, green, and it's not runny. This is how I like to make my sofrito. Now, as you'll notice, I didn't put in the last time the cilantro. That I do at the end with this batch. And I cut up the stems from the cilantro, and I have only leaves in here. This is what I'll be blending along with the other vegetables. When I put the cilantro in, this is when the processor might not want to blend. This is when you'll add a little bit of olive oil. If not, let's see if it blends. Then you won't have to. Okay, that's good. Let's see how it goes. Pulse it first. It doesn't need any oil. That's good. Okay, now I like to stop it and turn it, help it a little. I'll turn. Okay. Oh, we're almost ready. We're almost done. Okay, that should be enough for my taste. If you like it a little bit thinner, you can just keep blending. Let's see what this looks like. Looking good. Come on. This smells so good. The whole house smells green. Okay, let's give it a good mix. Beautiful colors. Look at that. I'll keep mixing, but when I chopped up the cilantro, I left the stems, and the stems I do not like to put into the blender. For some reason, I think that cilantro's flavor is lost in the sofrito with all the other vegetables, and when you put the stems in like this, this keeps it this keeps a strong cilantro flavor, and you'll know that when you cook your foods you have cilantro in there. So I just chopped it up into tiny little pieces, and there we go. I mix, and then I will be ready to jar this stuff. Okay, now that I'm finished blending all my sofrito, I got it to the consistency that I like, and I want you to take a close look and see how you can see the little pieces of everything, like that. It smells so fresh. I have my daughter helping me out with the camera, and the onion smell is so strong that she ran out and left me alone to finish recording. Okay, now I'm going to store my sofrito in mason jars because I made a little batch, so I'm going to keep it in the bottom part of the refrigerator. But if you make a large batch, you can use these plastic containers that you can get in the 99-cent store, like 3 or 4 for $1, and you can freeze them. You could keep one on the bottom of the fridge and freeze the rest if you make a large batch. Okay, let's see how this is going to work out. Okay, I think I'm going to be able to put most of it in one jar. Like that. This smells so good, I'm getting hungry again. My first few videos have been about doing the basics with what we use, Puerto Ricans use for cooking. My first video was making an achiote, which you will find. And the second one was the sazonador completo, my all-purpose seasoning. So after I finish making this video, I will start making all kinds of different foods that are gonna be super sabrosa, because the main thing about having savory food is it depends on this. Okay, here is my finished product. See how beautiful? You can see all the little specks of green peppers, red peppers, garlic. This is beautiful, and the house smells delicious. Now that you have all the basics for my cooking, I will start making for you Caribbean dishes, Puerto Rican dishes, Peruvian, a mix. I cook internationally. And I hope that you continue watching my channel. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And I always hope that you always keep it simple, savory, and sabroso. Till next time, God bless.